Hello there, traveler. Welcome to the castle. Or, I guess more accurately, Serenity in Nature by DjembeDragon. I'd like to share my thoughts about a book I've read, if you're willing to indulge a dragon. Thank you, traveler. Let's begin. A Wildness of the Heart is a short story collection written by Madison Rye Progress and is self-published. Small content warning that the novella in this book has a lot of religious themes, particularly around Catholicism. Madison brings together a collection of stories, all based in some way around love, that inspired wistfulness and introspection in me as I read them. The title works with the theme of the anthology well, reminding prospective readers that the heart can be wild, flitting from the highs and lows of that wonderful connective force. Each of the stories in the collection deals with a different kind of love. Jump is about abusive love and the difficulty in leaving the familiar. Gigs is about a relationship undergoing stress from the lack of a steady job. Sorting Laundry deals with the absence of love from a parent. Morning Of focuses on the love of one's body, and Foxes and Milkshakes is centered around young love. I especially enjoyed the tone of the text for Jump, as I think it had the best use of a narrator I've seen in a while. Foxes and Milkshakes had amazingly detailed descriptions that gave a sense of grandeur to the small diner date that the Foxes were on. I feel it was a good fit with the importance dates often take on when we're young. I sympathized a great deal with Winter from Gigs, as I've known or met a lot of people who are having trouble finding jobs that pay enough to keep them going. The interminable dance of working anything that'll pay so you can get to the next month is one I have seen performed by those who wish most fervently to just be able to exist halfway comfortably. The collection takes place in Sawtooth, Idaho, and while the setting is not always integral to the stories, it does connect this anthology to one of Madison's previous works, Restless Town. Small references to characters, events, and places from the last collection are peppered throughout. They're not necessary to keep up with what's happening in the stories, but they are cool inclusions for those that have read the other anthology. And now we get to the biggest story, Limerent Object. It follows a deeply devout Christian coyote as he works through his newly budding love for an old college friend of his named Kay. The main character, D, spends the story journaling about his feelings in an attempt to find out why he is feeling this way and whether or not he should act on those feelings. I think the story does a good job of understanding the subtle implications and hang-ups that come from being Catholic. I felt very seen as I read through Dee's internal monologue. These thought patterns and doubts were familiar. Madison nails the ways in which Catholicism can foster shame and guilt in its members. I want to frame the quote, "Why must we Catholics wrap our every action up in shame?" on the wall, because it's accurate as hell. That's not to say that Dee's Catholicism is portrayed as inherently negative either, just that it's a big part of his life and informs a lot of his character. I also very much appreciate how Dee and Kay's relationship is portrayed. They feel like longtime friends when they talk with each other, and that kind of tone is hard to pin down. The interstitial text conversations add a lot to their respective characters and help to flesh them out. I found I was deeply affected by the story, and I don't doubt this was in response to seeing a lot of the same thought patterns in Dee as I have had in the past. His process was different from my own, but I was all the more interested in seeing it resolved because of that fact. His journey of introspection was a delightful read, and I would recommend it to folks who want to take a deep dive into the often uncomfortable emotions surrounding the process of admitting love to yourself. I also really appreciated the content warnings at the beginning of the book. That helped to get me ready for the heavier topics that some of the stories tackle. Until next time, curl up with a good book, and be kind to yourself.